Today we're going to talk about SUI, S-U-I, assuming that's how you pronounce it. We're going to talk about the company, and we're going to talk a little bit about the technology, what they're doing, look at their site real quickly. But most importantly, we're going to get into some comparisons, particularly with Solana, because what do we all care about? How much money can we make in this bull run with SUI? I always have to disclaim. Actually, here's a practical disclaimer. See this? I cut my hair short, probably about 30 years ago. It's never grown back. Why do I say that? Big dumb animal, don't do what I do. Informational purposes only. This is crypto for the rest of us. I do this 6 days a week, excluding Sunday, tip tool coin analysis, and then in the evenings, I have a show specifically for Hedera and ICP, which I do depending upon what news may or may not come out. All right, let's get into SUI. And I should disclaim this is middle of September, right after the Fed rate cut. So there's some more liquidity in the market. Things are starting to move a little bit. Wouldn't be surprised if there's still somewhat of a pullback. I still think it's a great time to buy all sorts of things. And I just bought some SUI. So let's get into it. SUI in general, let's look at the company itself and their technology. All right, it's a layer 1 blockchain. They talk about the founders here. Just real quick, this is on CoinMarketCap. Some of them have been at Apple, they've been at Facebook, they've been at Meta. What's most interesting about this in general is not only the impressive founders of SUI, but the fact that unlike many coins, they tell you who founded the company and who's working there, and they give you all of the background. That's important. Surprisingly, when you start doing research, you realize some of these tell you next to nothing. What makes them unique? Low latency transactions, stable transaction fees, that they say themselves at the heart of their uniqueness is their object-oriented design. And we'll get into the fact that they have incredibly fast transaction speeds. They also talk about how is the network secured, proof of stake. Okay, so you got a layer 1, low latency, TPS is really high, transaction fees are low, it's secure, and it is unique, and it is fairly new. SUI website. But here we go. As we move down, we've got transactions per second. Now it says 297,000 TPS. Let's get into the article that supports that, the SUI Foundation. This was April of 2023, and they ranged from peaks of over 10,000 TPS to 297,000 TPS. You can get into this article if you're interested. I'll post it. But this was a test. So I don't believe that it's actually been hit, but according to the way they set it up, it's entirely possible. I have no reason to believe it's not. That's incredibly fast. I believe Solana's peak is 65,000. Okay, if that's the case, then this is extremely fast. Now, they have interesting and I think extremely helpful information, which is very important for developers, developer communities, developer tools, you name it. If you look at their site here, they have use cases for, of course, gaming, finance, commerce. That's mainly what you want to focus on. Not so much AI, that's fine. Gaming and finance, AI, really the top needs at the moment. Here's what is really interesting is you can pre-order this handheld device. What is this? Check this out. $600, which you have to pay for now, and you can't use regular currency. You have to buy it with crypto. It's going to be a handheld gaming device, and it looks pretty wild. Obviously, it looks like any other handheld, so to speak. It isn't out yet, but they're saying it will be out soon, and you can pre-order it. Your favorite PC games natively integrated. And of course, I'm sure they're going to hook up to all sorts of different platforms to get games, and people will start making them. But a blockchain gaming device, that's super cool. Then, of course, they've got examples, and they have DeepBook, which is the backbone of SUI DeFi liquidity. You can actually trade on it, you can build on it, and there's already some that have been done. So they've got a gaming system coming out, they've got a gaming backbone, they've got a finance backbone. It's impressive. So let's look at the tokens themselves. Max supply of SUI is 10 billion. They have about a little more than a fourth out there at the moment. Market cap 3.5 billion. Fully diluted 13 billion. We look at Solana. As you know, it can be infinite, but they're at Market cap 66 billion at the moment based on circulation, which is 468 of 584. And then fully diluted is 82 billion. Okay, so that first comparison there is interesting, but let's look at the tokenomics first, and then we're going to get into some projections on pricing. SUI on token unlocks, if you've used this before, the bottom line is they essentially they had a big cliff here recently in April, but every month they're releasing a little bit. I always like to take a look and say, what are their early contributors? Right here, Series A and Series B are the only things left on this chart. As you can see, they get a little bit every month, and it kind of flatlines, but that's around 2026. Not a huge amount every month, but there is some going to investors every single month. Not a huge cliff. They're just slowly letting things out. That's not terrible in my opinion. But at least you can see that between now and if you believe this bull run's only going to last 6 to 12 months, not a lot more coming on to the market. Solana is very similar. You can look at their founders as well. They have just a tiny bit every month. Okay, so generally speaking, no huge cliffs. Good to know. Now let's get into some comparisons. Let's look at SUI on DeFi Llama. Total value locked, 800 million. If you want, you can dive in. I always like to look at where some of that money is. The largest chunk is on this Navi protocol. If you go to their dashboard, you'll see it's a lend, borrow, stake, earn, typical thing. Okay, so that's the majority of it on SUI. Then let's go and check out. So 800 million on SUI. Let's check out Solana. About 5 billion locked on Solana. You're probably familiar with the different marketplaces. Okay, so that's a 6x, meaning Solana has 6 times more than TVL than SUI. Okay, fair enough. That's our first metric, 6x there. Now let's look at market caps. If we look at the fully diluted market cap of SUI, we're at 13 billion. We look at the fully diluted Solana, it's 82 billion. That is also a 6x. Okay, that's interesting. Now let's look at, because fully diluted, I believe is very important. I use that when I compare everything that I'm investing in. But we just looked at tokenomics, and in the next year period, it's really supply and demand. You can't buy something unless it's available, right? So let's look at current circulating. In other words, the current market cap is the current price with what's in circulation. 3.5 billion SUI. Here's what's interesting. 66 billion Solana. Did the math, and that is an 18x. So if SUI were just to achieve what Solana is currently at, it's an 18x. If we're talking about current market cap, I believe that's entirely possible. Let's take a look at TradingView here. The Solana price is around 140 at the moment. It had gotten up around 200. Last time it had gotten up to about 260. Well, you always need to look at the market cap as well because, the amount of coins change. So this time, even though the price had been higher last go around per coin, the market cap is actually higher now because of the amount of coins in circulation. So that's interesting. Solana's already within this year beaten last run-up's total market cap, even though the price, you'd say, well, the price is depressed. Well, market cap, I think, is what you need to look at. SUI is new, very nuevo. That's for my Spanish-speaking audience. SUI is very nuevo, and this was this year, so it wasn't around last run-up. It peaked around 2.1, it's around 1.3, so that's a 2x. Okay, just to get back to where it was. So we've got, in my opinion, 4 metrics here. We've got, just to get back to earlier this year, a 2x. I think that's a no-brainer. It shot up recently quite a bit, but of course this is a daily chart, so this was right after the Fed lowered rates a little bit. We've got a 2x just to get back to last time. We've got a 6x if it can match the TVL on Solana. We've got, and if their transaction speeds are faster and their costs are lower, it seems like and it might be as or more secure. It's never had any down days. Solana has had some issues. So let's just say that the technology matches Solana, even though many might say it's better, but let's just say it matches it. Well, then there's no reason it can't get to a 5 billion TVL, which would be a 6x. We looked at comparing the market caps of fully diluted. That's also a 6x. And then we looked at, well, what about the current market cap, which I think matters the most because there's not a lot. They're both unleashing about the same amount of coins every month. So that's an 18x. So let's just say that in my opinion, why did I buy this? Not for a 2x, not for a 6x. I mean, I'm holding Ethereum and I think it's going to 4x. So something like SUI, yeah, I'm looking for a 20x. I think that's entirely possible. That's why I bought into it. And that's why I may, this week or towards the end of the month, buy a little more because I think September might still have a little bit of pullbacks. That's it for today. I hope that was helpful. Hope we can all make generational wealth together with crypto. If you find this valuable, please do hit that like button. It helps me substantially. If you like SUI, you don't like SUI, or you know some things about the technology that I don't or didn't mention, please put that in the comments. It really helps us all out because we can learn more. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.